remaining in the city, he was still providing law enforcement coverage to the city proper, within the borders of the city. Had he left the city, there would have been no coverage at that time. What's also important to note is that the chief was not requested to respond on this. They requested one Belle Plaine squad car. Officer Weisedal responded. The chief remained in the city, monitored the situation. It was a confirmed fatal crash. Traffic control was set up. They dealt with the situation, and the chief remained in the city to deal with all matters in the city. And the ICR shows the number of squads that responded and what had occurred.
On 4/16/2009, it's listed as suicidal female. And Mr. Murphy wrote, officer was dispatched to a suicidal female. Chief Lanning was asked if he was going to respond, and he told the officer, nah, you got it, quote unquote. Typically, officers do not respond to this type of call alone if another officer is on duty. I don't recall making that comment, but this was an anonymous complaint. It was a welfare check. If you will notice at the bottom of the incident report, anonymous RP called reporting that her friend sent her a text message which she thought were suicidal. Spoke with the person, was depressed but not in immediate danger to herself. She was upset over losing a job and being behind on her rent. She stated that she had a doctor's appointment scheduled for the next day. Officers went back and checked on her later. There was no immediate issue. If you look at the press release, it says a welfare check was requested.
Again, it's important to note that the chief doesn't recall. In fact, he denies making the comment, nah, you got it. He never said that. Had he been requested to respond, he would have responded. This was an anonymous welfare check. Nobody was taken into custody. Nobody was transported to a medical facility on a crisis hold or a transportation hold. Nobody was detoxed. And again, Officer Weisedal never asked for another car to assist.
In addition to, it doesn't say who I said this to. Who did I make this comment to? It's not documented. The house fire call on 4/8/2009. Mr. Murphy states on April 8th, officer was dispatched to house fire. Officer was asked if Chief Lanning was responding as well and was told, quote, I don't do fires. That's what they have firemen for, unquote. Officer responded, Lanning had no other calls and was not logged in with dispatch. I was at that fire. The fire chief will confirm there were 2 units. Other firemen saw me there. I'd spoken to Mr. Meyer, or Chris Meyer, and he remembered seeing me there. The fire chief will say that there were 2 units there. I was there. I don't know why I would have said this if I went to the call. Again, I want to know, I'd like to know who I allegedly said this to, because it's not documented.
This is the time before you were talking about logging in.
Yeah, and it says I was not logged in with dispatch. This was prior to the time when I was counseled to log in with dispatch.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment, just so everybody knows. I'm going to declare a 5-minute recess at about 9, so you can continue until then.
Vehicle break-in on 4/7/2009. On April 7th, the officer took a report of a vehicle break-in, theft of a CD player and other items. Case indicates Chief Lanning inactivated the case with no documentation of subsequent investigation. Officer Conkin responded, took photos, processed the scene for latent prints, had no suspect information. Latent prints were recovered, they were logged into evidence, and I assume sent to BCA. If there was a match between the latent prints and the suspect in the database, the BCA contacts the police department. I'm unaware of any matches. Case does not indicate that follow-up is needed. As Mr. Murphy stated, the case inactivated. The victim could not locate the serial numbers for the stolen CD player. He advised that if he did locate the serial numbers, he would contact the police department. Mr. Murphy has not spoken to me about this incident. On a burglary on 4/7 of 2009. Officer Conklin again was dispatched to a report of burglary. Officer, this time to a residence. Mr. Murphy wrote, on April 7th, an officer was dispatched to a report of a burglary. On May 4th, Chief Plaine inactivated the case with no documentation regarding follow-up or reason for the case to be inactivated. Officer Conklin took the initial report. He contacted neighbors. He processed the scene. There was no physical evidence. There was no property missing from the house because it was vacant. There was no suspect information to follow up on. The case incident occurred between March 24th and April 7th. The case was consequently inactivated based on these facts. And again, Mr. Murphy never spoke to me about the incident. An event of a domestic on 4/3 of 2009. On April 3rd, an officer was dispatched to a domestic occurred in the public street. Officer responded along with 2 county deputies and a Jordan officer. Chief Lanning did not respond to the call. Chief Lanning was on duty at the time but not logged in with dispatch. I don't know where I was, but I was not here to respond to that. I believe I was in Shakopee on official business, but I don't have my calendar. Again, did anyone talk to Officer Visaddle to ensure that he called for assistance and I didn't go? The case on 3/7 of 2009, a fleeing from an officer. Mr. Murphy wrote, on March 7th, the officer had a vehicle flee and 4 young males flee from the vehicle. Officer towed the vehicle, no notes, no follow-up attempts to contact the owner. Case was subsequently inactivated. Allegation states that there was no follow-up or contact made and is simply not true. On 3/9/2009, myself, I interviewed the mother of the person who owned the vehicle. The mother came to the police department wanting the release of the vehicle. Officer Visaddle was present when I talked to the woman. She wanted the release of the vehicle. I advised her that